Hi again. I'd like to talk a bit about why I developed the wallet on BSV. I've been in blockchain since 2013. It was a fascinating invention when you could send $5 across continents in a matter of seconds. Well, that was Bitcoin as we knew it back then. It's of course not the Bitcoin that we know now. Been a businessman all my life, and scaling in business is the most important thing if you want to make any business viable. I mean, you can fake it for a while, but in the end, it has to do the job. So blockchain scaling has always been a problem. Bitcoin wasn't allowed to scale. I mean, when Bitcoin was invented, I came to know later that it was perfect. The architecture was perfect. Uh, there were some edge problems that were solved by other people. It had all the skills necessary to do it. I mean, for someone to invent something like that, they have to know in and out all the aspect of what the blockchain would be. Right? It has to be secure. He was a security expert. You have to be a programmer. He could program. He could program in the old days. You do in Fort and those early language. You have to be in the business. You have to know the people around, and he knew them. You need to have lived. In other words, you can't be a 20-year-old and invent Bitcoin. And then there's the philosophical side. I mean, it, there is you have to be well. He was a preacher, so he had all those ingredients that was necessary to make this thing happen. Of course, even left to himself, it wouldn't happen because he didn't have the social skills. But when Gavin came along, and he was the right man and at the right time, and by that you can say that Bitcoin is the right thing at the right time, and the right people come along to give it a nudge in the right direction. Yes, of course, it was all hijacked in the end, but putting that all behind us now, Bitcoin BSV is the only one that scales and has very cheap transaction and has a clear path forward for even going to nano transactions. When maybe later on we'll do that. One of the reasons why the wallet works well is because of the way we handle the UTXO. It's not an easy part to figure out, but it took me a while. And that UTXO handling enables us to do several transactions all at once simultaneously or sequentially, which normally run into problems because the UTXO are spent. What else can I say about it? Here, uh, well, XRP, XRP Ripple, the guys are making a lot of money, something like $10 billion a month or something like that. Yeah, why? Because they have the stable coin, USDT, uh, USDT, and USDT is very big because that's what countries are using for transaction to bypass the US dollar. They have their own currency, the XRP token. Why didn't they build it on XRP? Because XRP is the token they use to scam the public because you buy the XRP in the hope that it rise, not because you get a share of their profits, but because some other guy is going to buy it for a higher price. And Ethereum, it's got a very strong developer following and development, but it can't scale. Can't scale for the very reason that it was. Yeah, so you have to have lived to develop something that is this going to be this resilient. And by using an account-based system, which is understandable if you don't understand the concept of UTXO. So the UTXO model was a beautiful model because once it was consumed, it can't be consumed again. And that's the principle we use to in our design, how we handle the UTXOs. Yeah, and we had EOS, I suppose, at one stage. And when it tried to scale, it died for weeks. Nobody could do any transactions. It's still cheap, but nobody can transact. So what's the point? Then yes, Solana. They tried to scale and fell over. And then they had users and tried to scale again, and they fell over again. But look, you're dealing with a system that is money, so you can't fail at all. None, zero. There's no tolerance for it. And BSV, it's been quietly juggling along, and people have derided it for good reasons. I mean, if BSV succeeds, everything they've built upon is all goes to dust. So BSV cannot succeed. But again, go back to the very first perception of BSV, of Bitcoin, and what did they say? It's the honey badger. Yeah. Just keep badging along, doesn't care.